Hey guys, and welcome to episode 18 of the Real Talk podcast. I'm Hayden Perno.
Really?
And who are you?
I'm Grant Barlow.
And today's episode is a very special episode. I brought some audio back from my trip over to Egypt where I had my tour guide, Amira Rachid, take my mate and I through the 5 pillars of the Quran. What do you think about that, Grant?
You're just looking at me. I thought you can't keep talking.
I thought you were going to jump on.
Well, I didn't want to talk over the top of you, that's all. I was interested in what you're saying.
So
I'm listening.
by the 18th episode, you no longer want to jump over the top of me talking?
Oh, you've beaten me down, man. These marks on my back now are starting to hurt. You keep beating me with a stick every time I try and talk.
One day we'll have perfect harmony.
Perfect harmony.
In Studio 2.
In Studio 2?
Yeah, that's our future studio.
When Fox picks us up?
Nike.
No, Fox. We won't broadcast on Fox. Nike don't broadcast.
Nike
Nike's
will.
a sponsor.
You don't know. Nike might.
McDonald's might.
Nah.
Disney.
We don't want Fox. Doesn't
Disney.
The Simpsons always mocks Fox?
Yeah, but so what? Fox is still pretty powerful.
Maybe we'll CNN or something. The BBC. Come on, the BBC.
Maybe, we're getting out of London.
Why not?
All right, ABC. How about ABC here? We'll set up anyone out there. Anyway, yeah. So it was a super cool audio listening to her.
A little bit different.
Yeah, we'll listen to audio of someone who is passionate about their religion and who is a local and describe things that obviously I've never seen. Was pretty cool.
I should actually say, if anyone is interested in going to Egypt and they're thinking about going to Cairo or even like the Alexandria area, get in contact with me and I'll put you through to Amira, who runs the tour guide company.
Hey, we'll hook you up.
Yeah, like why not? She's a very cool lady and she knows her stuff about all things Egypt.
Yeah, and she'll find out when you start listening.
All right, so if you guys...
Yeah, you got any questions or anything like that? You can't call us this week. We've got no phone, but you can send us an email on therealtalkpodcast.com.
No, at info@therealtalkpodcast.com.
At info.
Because you can't send an email to a website. Wait, yes you can.
Yes, you
on
can.
the contact form.
The contact form, yeah.
So guys, yeah, do what
Either
Grant
way,
said
but-
or do what I said.
But no
doesn't
phone
matter.
calls. No phone calls.
Don't ring us.
Especially midnight. That was annoying.
All right, let's just get into the show.
Cool.
We talk too much these days, I think. So this is episode 18 of the Real Talk podcast.
Dylan! You son of a bitch.
The Real Talk. The Real Talk podcast.
Great night. Great fucking night.
It's interesting, but I mean, like, it's open-minded stuff. You got to have an open mind going into it, I think, and that's why I kind of asked her to go through the whole 5 pillars with me, because I'm like, I want to know what are you actually believing in, and why are you believing in it, and what do you actually have to do to be like a good Muslim? And she completely went into like all 5 pillars, so it's interesting.
So this is her take on the Quran, or
It's the 5 pillars that you have to like follow to be.
Islam's based on?
Yeah. So this is my tour guide, Amira, and she took us up to the summit, which is like the citadel of like the area where the Muhammad Ali Mosque is, built in like the 19th century or
Muhammad
something.
Ali, not the boxer.
No. The prophet, the actual prophet, yeah.
So he took obviously Muhammad Ali's name.
I guess so. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, well, he wasn't born Muhammad Ali. He was born Cassius Clay.
That's true, Cassius Clay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that area, the cliffs all around the mosque. You got to. I'll put photos up on this as well. I think on the link so everyone can see it. But the cliffs around the mosque, that's where they took the stone from to build the pyramids. And so it's a fair while away from the actual like location of the main like Giza pyramids. And they say that how they got them that far, which is crazy, was in the big floods of the Nile. So the water was that high that
So they waited for it to flood and float it?
That's how they got the stone all the way to the...
So on
that's
wood,
a theory, right?
On wood, they floated it.
I guess on like little canoes or something. I actually like
But aren't these stones, like you said, the size of you? So how would they float in the canoes?
The super flood. It's crazy, man.
And they waited for the current, and there's too many variables there for me.
But imagine them even controlling the stone across the water to get to the
They're
location.
massive.
It's nuts.
It blows my mind that I never actually thought where they made them. I thought they just put them together. I you know what? I never even thought about it.
Yeah,
But
you have to
like
get the
bricks.
stone from somewhere.
Exactly. I just thought, they put them together through the sand or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So they actually cut them from the cliffs.
Yeah, and you can see all the cliffs. They're all shaved out still, and
What do they look like? The cliffs? Like, are they just sort of like
it's like
back?
mountains, but they've become cliffs now. You know, and
They've just been taking chunks out of.
it's nuts. But it's like in that area, there's like it's a huge freeway, and it's like a super busy like location. But
So it's kind of sort of ruined to the.
no, I don't think so. I
No.
mean, the Cairo is a big city.
So the city in like the pyramids just sort of like does the city envelope the pyramids, or are they almost outside the city?
They're on the edge.
Okay, so
So
the
there's-
city's been just built on the outside of.
So the
pyramids.
city is built right up, pretty much right to the pyramids. And actually, when I was at the Sphinx, I could see a KFC across the road. It's just
Not a
stupid.
McDonald's.
I didn't see a McDonald's in Egypt, but
Really?
there was a KFC right across the road from the Sphinx. So if you're ever in the Sphinx area, head in, bucket of chicken.
Nice.
But yeah, so the city, I don't think they're actually allowed to build past the pyramids. Like the pyramids is the last stop, and then that's just desert. You can't see anything out to the desert except for like a couple of power lines, I think.
Gotta have power lines.
Gotta have power, 21st century.
Yeah.
So yeah, when we enter the mosque, you got to take your shoes off, and we walked over to an area like where it's a little bit quiet, and I asked her to take us through the 5 pillars of the whole Quran. So we sort of pick up this conversation when she introduces the mosque and like sort of talks about the design of it and how they pray, and then she'll go into like the first couple of pillars, and then we'll come back and have a chat about.
Cool.
The minbar is where the sheikh stands for the Friday speech and give the speech to people sitting around. And the qibla or the mihrab is the direction of qibla. For example, you see people here like the carpets, they stand here like this, next to each other. And sometimes when we stand praying, they have to say stawu, like we have to touch shoulders together. Why? Stawu means like this, so that not allow any evil spirit to penetrate in between us. You don't notice this kind of word from the sheikh on the channels. Istawu, istawu. He said it like this, which means stand straight. So this is the carpet should be all over there, but I don't know why they put a carpet on a carpet on a carpet. It's very strange. And this is all with the direction of Mecca, the Qibla, straight. This mosque, as you see, is electric lights. We change it from candle lights or oil, again, candles, oil, lights or lamps, and we bring it electric with electricity just to keep the harmony of the mosque. When you look up there, you can see graved on one of the domes 4 green names: 1, 2, 3, and 4, graved with Arabic. These are the 4 followers of Prophet Muhammad at that time. The windows, as you see there, allow the light of the sun to penetrate and gives a good decoration. Took him, as I told you, 12 to 14 years to finish the mosque because he was very much anxious to leave a piece of art at that time. How to be a good Muslim, or what are the 5 pillars of Islam? We can sit down and we talk about it. How to be a good Muslim and to follow the 5 pillars of Islam. First of all, we believe in 5 pillars. First of all, that you have to be a good Muslim, but to believe that God is only one God and Prophet Muhammad is the last. The second pillar, that you have to pray 5 times a day. 5 times a day, which means that very early morning, sunrise, noon, 3 o'clock, 6 and 8. And again, be careful with the time zone. But why we pray? We pray because God wants us to remember Him 5 times a day. And why we purify with water before praying? Because actually we take all the sins from us. If you purify before at noon prayer, for example, and you didn't go to the bathroom or to the toilet until 3, you can still pray with the same purification. Okay, if I'm traveling and I cannot find water, you can touch the wall and say, God, I'm purifying. How we purify? 3 times half arm, 3 times neck, 3 times water inside the mouth and return it, 3 times touch nose, 3 times drops behind your ears, and 3 times on your feet, and 3 times touch the hair. Are all people praying? No, but it is obligatory. Once you got puberty, you train your kids to pray. Are all Muslims praying? I have no idea. Praying is something like as you go to the church, it's something from you to God. So prayer is the second pillar of Islam. But how we pray? You stand like this. Exactly. I memorize any verses from the Quran, short, medium, long ones. And you stand straight. And then you go down and you say, God is the greatest 3 times. And then you go up and then you go down the floor like this, and you said God is the highest 3 times.
And can you say that for us in Arabic?
Yes. You say like this verses. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. This is a short verse from the Quran so that you finish your praying quickly, and then you go down and say سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم سبحان ربي العظيم 3 times, which means God is the greatest 3 times. And then you go up, and then you go down the floor with your head, and then you say سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى سبحان ربي الأعلى, which means God is the highest. The more you go down, سبحان ربي الأعلى, God is the highest, the more you are going down to God and beg Him to do things for you. So it's a bless that a Muslim could go down the floor and say God is the highest. Some people are sick, they cannot do that, so they can sit on a chair and still pray. This is actually the second pillar of Islam with the praying time. We pray when you work, you combine your prayer times all together.
All right, what do you think of that?
5 times a day praying. She had me at that part. That's the hard part, isn't it? 5 times a day.
I think you can, if you don't have time during the day, you can pray in like clumps. So like maybe you pray for longer at a certain time.
Okay.
If you can't, like maybe work commitments. She does go into that later.
Does she?
She does go into it later.
Because I mean, 5 times a day these days is pretty hard to get to. So do they have to pray at a mosque, or do they have to?
No, they can pray anywhere. But one of the things she did say was, you always have to face
Mecca. Yeah.
And even when I was on my plane actually coming home, you know they have that flight info.
Yep.
The whole time they had like the direction of Mecca, no matter where it
was.
So if
So
you're on the
people could
plane,
oh yeah.
so if you're on the plane, you can't like, oh, which way is Mecca? Because you don't know where you are in the world. It's pretty
So
cool.
You consider it unclean if you have to go to the toilet or something in that time. You have to sort of wash yourself, or what was it?
You have to make sure that you're purified before you
Purified
pray.
water.
And if you're traveling and you don't have access to water, you can touch the wall or touch something, like, you know, tell
And so I'm
God.
purified.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, it's a commitment, isn't it? It's full on. Like it's. I don't know many other religions. I mean, I don't know Christian, Catholic, or whatever else, but it's.
But again, you don't know like the in depth of it,
No.
and that's why I kind of wanted this.
Not judging it at all. I'm being very open minded to. I'm not sort of. Yeah, I suppose judging it like you just said, but yeah, 5 times a day. That's hard work.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have time, but
What she said 5 times a day to tell God that
to remember God.
to remember God 5 times a day.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's only 5 times a day you have to remember something or someone.
Yeah, I've got remembers.
But I mean, that's what the beauty of this kind of like story, because we have like, I mean, both of us are always usually pretty
Pretty harsh, pretty critical.
yeah,
of
we're pretty
religions.
against it, but that's why I thought it's like perfect audio for us to talk about open-minded stuff where I mean, like even after like this experience, just being in Egypt, I've come back like way less like angry or like,
Towards religion.
frustrated towards religion. Like I don't have that like that feelings anymore. I'm not like super frustrated before, but we always
you had your grievances.
we've
We
talked
have
about it before, like how do you believe that, etc. But I mean, like it's each to their own, and
People
it really
need
is.
yeah.
And exactly like the quote of the year, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Like it actually is.
It is.
Like I just have a different like outlook at it now after like this kind of experience.
Yeah,
and
people
that's
just-
why I wanted to bring this audio so then people can also like hear it and like feel it too.
If
you
you're
know?
grown up in it and you're raised in it and you have a wholehearted belief, which you can tell that in her tone of voice that she does,
Totally.
like she believes, and that's cool.
She's one of the nicest people I've ever met, for sure.
Man, listening to what we listened to about 2.5 minutes, and you can just tell that she had a really nice tone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's cool. Shout out to Amira.
Yeah.
She'll be listening to this. I told her that I'm
Sure,
doing this.
For sure. So quickly go back to the mats. Do the mats have to be touching or not touching?
The mats.
Didn't she say at the start not to let any evil sue? Evil?
No, shoulders.
Oh, they go
Yeah,
shoulder,
you have
shoulder.
to stand. I can't. What's it called again? To or something. Yeah, you have to have your shoulders together so then nothing can pass. All right, so we'll keep listening. Next up, she goes through the third pillar, and then we'll come back.
So, this is the third pillar of Islam, that you have to fast. But how we fast and why we fast? We fast because actually God wants us to be a very strong society and a very unified. How? How strong? Strong because actually when you fast, you stop eating, drinking, smoking, whoever smokes, whatever, from sunrise to sunset. So you are fasting from all things that it could hurt health. Like for example, if you're a heavy smoker, if you are alcoholic, if you are whatever. So anything.
It's okay.
So,
Shukran.
anything that you used to do as a bad habit, fasting for a month could be a good start that you stop addicting or you start a fresh start. Why? When you fast, your desires goes down and your spirits goes high. The first 3-4 days is very hard for people like that to fast, not never to drink or to smoke or whatever. But after a week, you feel that your health is more light. You eat healthy, you sleep much better, you move much better. It's all training of the brain. So this is how God wants us to be a very strong society. To be strong against anything that makes you feel weak and addicted. Unified because we all eat in one time. In one time, in iftar, as I told you yesterday. Iftar is the word that people are gathering together. I'm inviting people, friends, mothers, sisters, people all over public streets. They stop the cars and there is lots of charity tables. They stand in the place, all of a sudden they eat together. So it's a unified society, like Thanksgiving maybe, or like Christmas time. Everyone goes to each other's and stay together. So this is actually the third pillar. Why 30 days? Why not 15 or 20 days? Because actually 30 days are the 30 parts of the Quran that came on Prophet Muhammad. Came on Prophet Muhammad. 30 parts of the Quran that Prophet Muhammad, he was illiterate. And the miracle of Prophet Muhammad that he was illiterate, but he heard a voice in a cave at that time telling him read and write. And that was the Quran, the 30 parts, which we have to fast 30 days.
So I think the fasting thing is really cool. Makes a lot of sense to me. And when I was there, I was actually in Egypt when it was Ramadan. So we had some pretty damn good feasts at the end of the day.
Nice. Yeah, I can see how it brings everyone together, and I can see the whole point of that. That's pretty cool. That the fasting thing makes sense when they say that.
Breaking habits, smoking, drinking.
Well, you
and all
wonder
that.
how many of them actually stick to it these days. I mean,
I think a lot do in those kind of areas.
those kind of areas in Australia. What do you think?
I don't know.
Oh, it depends on how
I don't have a
strict you
comment,
are
I
with
guess.
faith, yeah, I suppose. What I found interesting in that is I'd always thought of the Arabic language to be quite rough and abrupt,
Mm-hmm.
but when she said it, it was nice.
Smooth.
Yeah, like all languages can sound awful, including English,
Yeah.
because when they're said badly or poorly, whatever you want to say.
Arabic's a cool language.
And when it was said by
Definitely.
her, it was really nice.
Yeah.
Like it was very hypnotic almost, wasn't
Mhm.
it? Yeah, I found that really interesting.
Well, she was reading prayer or like memorizing a prayer.
Or what did she say? God is the greatest.
Yeah, God is the greatest 3 times.
God is the
And,
highest.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's interesting because it's always portrayed in movies as really a rough, loud, angry language almost.
I mean, if you think
That's the way baddies always normally from that part of the world.
the only movie I can think of is like The Mummy, when they have that Arabic guy comes in on the horses and he's got the black under his eyes.
No, I just watched this one with Jamie Foxx where they were over there and their friends got all bombed up. It was like a American Serie A bullshit one.
And they had Arabic speakers.
yeah,
speaking.
because they're fighting against terrorists over there.
That's just so
It's American bullshit. No,
That's
it was
bullshit.
actually interesting because it was one of those ones where it gave the flip side of the story because it didn't portray the Americans as the heroes. They portrayed them both as bad as each other.
What's that movie called?
It's a Jamie Foxx one.
Jamie
Jennifer Garner's in it. Jamie Foxx.
No, this isn't doing anything. But anyway,
Yeah.
when I was in Istanbul, I went over across to the Asia side of Istanbul, and they were all lining up out the front, along the water's edge, because they were about to have their big buffet feast. And so that kind of area compared to like the Europe side where they're not so Islamic, I'm pretty sure they would stick to it, whereas like the Europe side probably not, similar to like maybe how you think it is, like Australians wouldn't, but whereas like over in that kind of area,
So the European side of Turkey,
they are Islam. There's like Islam
yeah,
culture there, but not as much as the Asia
not
side.
as strict.
You cross the water, totally different. Like all the shops are closed, like on the Asia side, and then the Europe side open.
Open.
Weird.
Yeah, well, it's hard to fathom, isn't it? Like, because in Australia we're pretty unified.
Yeah, we're all just like that
We
stock
open-
standard kind of thing.
Christmas Day we close
Yeah.
universally.
Yeah. So
So Muhammad was a man.
Muhammad, yeah, he's a prophet.
He was a prophet. So, what do you mean? Like he was just a guy, and then he had people following him, or how's it work?
Exactly.
Just see, like
Yeah, he didn't like she
she
was
said
just,
four. There's four guys followed him at the start.
yeah.
The names at the start, at the top of the four.
The four for the windows in the mosque.
Yeah,
Yeah,
four
they,
guys.
they had the names in like crazy writing.
yeah,
I've got a photo of that. But what she say, that he was completely illiterate
yeah, and he
yet
was-
managed to write the whole
Yeah.
Quran.
The voice came to him in a cave. So you got a guy. He's not God. He's Muhammad. He's the prophet.
Exactly.
So God spoke to Muhammad.
Mm-hmm.
So-
Allah's the God.
Allah's the God. So same way the apostles and all that stuff.
Yeah, like Abraham and Moses and
Abraham.
Abraham. You haven't heard of Abraham? Abraham is one of the people that appears in all three main religion.
Yeah, but I'm talking about apostles. Apostles like
No one remembers the apostles. You don't even remember the
Yeah.
prophets.
Peter, Mark, Paul, John,
Luke and Mary or something.
Luke. Mary is his mum. Hayden, Grant.
That, but it's like Adam and Eve. It is actually Adam, Eve, and Lilith in the original.
Lilith. Who was Lilith?
And actually, in France, in Paris, where the Notre Dame is, they have Lilith actually in the tree.
Who's Lilith?
God created Adam and Lilith, and then Eve was created from Adam. That's the original story.
So what was Lilith?
Lilith was a creation of God, and then what happened? She was like, I don't want to listen to you
Exiled.
or something.
Ah, so she's like
She's the evil kind of one.
She was probably hotter than Eve.
She was blonde, I think.
She was probably hot. She was a hot one.
She's probably hotter.
Eve was the subordinate one that stayed home.
Let's get back into it anyway.
But they both had apples in the end.
Third pillar of Islam, that you have to fast. But how we fast and why we fast? We fast because actually God wants us to be a very strong society and a very unified. How? How strong? Strong because actually when you fast, you stop eating, drinking, smoking, whoever smokes, whatever, from sunrise to sunset. So you are fasting from all things that it could hurt health. Like for example, if you're a heavy smoker, if you are alcoholic, if you are whatever. So anything.
It's okay.
So anything that you used to do as a bad habit, fasting for a month could be a good start that you stop addicting or you start a fresh start. Why? When you fast, your desires goes down and your spirits goes high. The first 3-4 days is very hard for people like that to fast, not never to drink or to smoke or whatever. But after a week, you feel that your health is more light. You eat healthy, you sleep much better, you move much better. It's all training of the brain. So this is how God wants us to be a very strong society. To be strong against anything that makes you feel weak and addicted. Unified because we all eat in one time. In one time, in iftar, as I told you yesterday. Iftar is the word that people are gathering together. I'm inviting people, friends, mothers, sisters, people all over public streets. They stop the cars and there is lots of charity tables. They stand in the place, all of a sudden they eat together. So it's a unified society, like Thanksgiving maybe, or like Christmas time. Everyone goes to each other's and stay together. So this is actually the third pillar. Why 30 days? Why not 15 or 20 days? Because actually 30 days are the 30 parts of the Quran that came on Prophet Muhammad. Came on Prophet Muhammad. 30 parts of the Quran that Prophet Muhammad, he was illiterate. And the miracle of Prophet Muhammad, that he was illiterate, but he heard a voice in a cave at that time telling him read and write. And that was the Quran, the 30 parts, which we have to fast 30 days. The miracle of the Quran or the book that it's a book for every and each generation and time. Whenever you open the book, you find the answer for anything you want in life. The first 10 parts of the Quran talks about people before the old timing. One of the things, as an example to let you understand this, that the Quran talks about the gay society, all timing ago, and how God's torturing them and killed them all. This gay society, again repeatable, it happens again in these days. This is the first part, 10 parts, not only of these people, but he talks about many things happened before. The middle 10 parts of the Quran talks about things in life. If you die and you want to leave money for your kids, you'd like to take money, Quran talks about all the answers. To whom to give and not to give. Any things that you need to ask for daily life, the answer is in the Quran. The last 10 parts of the book talks about the Day of Judgment. Nothing but this. So it's 30 parts, every and each 10 parts divided in different categories, different explanations. And this is the miracle of the book. It's never changed as time goes. Prophet Muhammad trying to spread the da'wah or the Quran at that time, and he married up to 6-7 wives. But he was married. He used to marry this not because of he's a womanizer, but because he's marrying this to explain to other people or to other women what's Islam. And at that time, fasting was 30 days. So we fast 30 days. Who is not allowed not to fast? A pregnant woman, breastfeeding woman, or someone traveling, or someone sick. You have license not to fast. But if you ask me, are all Muslims fast? I have no idea. It's something from you to God. Nobody tell you or impose on you, you have to fast. This is the third pillar of the pillars of to be a good Muslim. The fourth pillar, that you have to give the zakah. Zakah means the charity, like 2.5% from your yearly income. It's a steady percentage. If your income is 1 million, is 1,000, is 100, you have to take off the zakah. We call it zakah. In the moderate societies, they don't impose zakah on people. It's something from you to God. But why God wants us to do the zakah and to follow His rules? Because He doesn't want any poverty in the society. And He wants us to give it how? In a form of money, but not food or dresses. Why? Because, for example, if my income is 1,000, I come and then I deduct 2.5%, and I said to my mother, okay, take this percentage and give it to whoever you think needs. A beggar, a friend, an employee, a mosque, an orphan place, a church. It's up to you. But at least, why? No poverty, and it has been said the more you give charity, the more God will give you more money. But some people now, they said, we impose zakah. It's not imposable. It's obligatory for Muslims in the book, but not from the people like, oh, this is the fifth, you have to pay taxes, you have to pay this. This is not by force. It's written in the book, and you have to do it from you to God. So this is the fourth pillar of Islam.
Cool. Did you want to say something on this?
There's always loopholes of religion, isn't there?
What do you see on this? What's the loophole?
Oh, you don't have to do it in this, and you don't have to do it that.
Oh, but if you're pregnant, like, that's understandable, right? You can't.
Yeah, for fasting. But if you're traveling, yeah.
Life still happens, you know. You can't just be like, I'm just going to stay in my little hut on the hill and pray and do whatever I want. And there are actually religious extremists that do that.
For sure there is. There's religious extremists in every religion.
But if you want to live like that kind of normal life, you know, in quotes, where you are getting to like spend time with people, have a job, travel, you know, have babies, it makes sense to me.
I wonder when the 2.5% thing came in. Like, did Muhammad write 2.5%?
Yeah, it's actually in the Quran.
He wrote 2.5.
I think so. I can't read Arabic, so it's very hard for me to read the it's very hard for me to read the Quran.
Jehovah's Witnesses 10%.
Is it really?
Yep.
Does Christians have one?
Nah, well, Christians, yeah. Well, they give money to the charity thing every time they go to church. Remember the little poor box they give and their little handout?
Oh, the collection tray.
Yeah. So that wouldn't be that much, 2.5%. But, you know, is it yearly or is it weekly? What is it?
Yearly.
Yearly, 2.5%. So we give it away. Look, I think that's a good thing. I like the theory. Like the whole basis of religion is a good basis. Every religion has a lot of good to it. You know what I mean? The whole idea of there is no poverty. You come together, you fast to build a stronger society. You pray, you know, it makes you a stronger person, a better person, grounds you. They're all great.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives to every
Great,
religion, I
yeah.
think.
It's just where they all, I don't know, they all just seem to go wrong somewhere. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. What do you mean?
Well, they seem to all steer towards extremism.
I don't think all do.
Well,
That's like generalizing. Maybe like a certain few do. And
tell me a religion doesn't go extreme in some sense. Christianity,
they all have their times, but they're like her.
Judaism, they all have extremism.
She's a Muslim. She's not extreme.
I'm not saying she's extreme. I'm saying, but all religions have extreme.
They
moments.
always do, but so do non-religions. There's the atheists that want to kill religious people, and then there's the atheists that keep their mouth shut and just go about their
it's
lives.
the human race, isn't it? We're just all fucked up. We
It's
just can't-
power and control.
We
Always.
just can't sit and go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but that's why we're here today with iPhones and podcasts.
Why? Because of what?
Because we've always challenged adversity. We've always challenged ourselves. We've always tried to improve. Otherwise, we'd just be okay, and we'll just sit in the mountains and let the trees grow around us. Oh, well, look, there's a lion. I'm not going to attack it because I'm just, I'm living here.
Yeah, I was listening to an interesting thing. They were talking about should we mark all the nuclear stations or say where Chernobyl and all that sort of stuff for the future, put big markers for the future. Say something bad happened and wiped out. Please don't go here. Like, when the Egyptians have marked the tombs, don't go in or the spirits will get you and all this sort of stuff.
Mm.
But what did we do? We went in there. No, don't worry about it. You silly old people. You don't know what you're talking about. Will society in the future, if something happens to us, and wipes out what we know now, the world, will society or human nature go, these silly people, they didn't know what they're talking about, and go and investigate Chernobyl, the area?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But in Chernobyl, there's actually animals living in there. There's like a new species of insects that are growing there now. Different plants.
Really?
Yeah, man. Life always find a way.
Yeah.
That's like a Jurassic Park quote, actually.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is.
Life will always find its way.
It's water. It's water and a crack. Water always finds a crack.
It's weird.
Yeah, always finds a way through.
The beauty of life. And what about that planet they found? It's like many, many, many light years away. Kepler 425b or something.
Yeah.
It's like 60% bigger than Earth.
Yeah.
But it's got an exact same sun as ours. Like it's called a G star.
Yeah.
And it orbits the sun in 385 days. So it's very, very similar. And it's actually 1.5 billion years older than our Earth.
Yeah.
So there's the scientists think definitely life exists there because it's had enough time to have the photosynthesis with plants and then, the sparking of actual like mammal life or whatever, reptiles and everything.
You gotta hope there's something else out there. We just don't want to be the fucking ballers of the universe, do you? Like, this is
Doesn't that do your head in though? Like, because we'll never know if on that planet there's something else going. Look, that planet looks like our planet.
Yeah.
Is something on that planet? We'll never know if they ever thought that, and we'll never see that place, and no one will ever travel there.
Yeah, it's weird.
Like life just doesn't exist. Anything like it's
Can't wave at them really. They're launching something into space which is able to detect a light globe up to like 100 billion kilometers away. It's like a light globe flicker. And so they're hoping that it'll pick something up. But then whatever it does, man. Then we'll be like back in our cave shitting ourselves.
I would love something to show up. But
show up.
I'll tell you what freaked me out the other day. I was reading an article the other day about Disney. And Disney's kind of like bear with me here. Disney is set up for the next 100 years with like their shows and their movies and their like books and everything. Like they're pretty well set for they know what's going to happen. They know their timeline. Obviously things will change and
so
stuff.
do McDonald's.
But they're kind of but think about it, it's 100 years in the future. Like right now you're 35. Add 100 years to yourself. You won't be here. So you won't even be here to the point of when. But you won't be here to see what Disney has in store for us.
Probably won't
in
be
90 years.
Disney.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like our lives, how we see it, is only pretty much 100 years. That's all we can kind of understand.
Yeah.
But things are already happening now that will be around for like double our lives and then triple. But imagine being the humans when Disney's like running out of ideas. Like, oh man, Disney used to be good back in 2015. Putting out like all these Marvel movies and now like Star Wars and stuff. But Like we won't know anything. Like obviously technology could improve that much where we could survive maybe that long. Something might happen, you never know, but
Well, you'd be interested to see what sort of fucking storylines they're coming up with. Jesus Christ.
I know, and if there's still cinemas and do people still want to watch movies and what are they doing? Like
Well, that's the thing. How are they planning on that? Well, McDonald's, I had a client once who worked for McDonald's as far as planning their restaurants and all that sort of stuff. Before, you know what it was before restaurants, called McDonald's restaurants?
the family
They were just
restaurant,
Like, yeah, they were called like just a
fast food place, yeah.
shitty little places. He designed all that sort of stuff. And I remember he telling me one day, he came in and goes, man, McDonald's don't follow trends, they are the trend. He goes, they are that far advanced. They got plans, and this was probably close to 10 years ago. He goes, they've got plans 10 years in advance. They know exactly where they're taking everyone already. Yep. And that I was like, man, that stuck with me, and it was quite scary to think that such a big global company like knew where it was going and how and what we were going to do.
Yeah, like their plan is further than what you've thought of.
Exactly,
and
we're just all following along, and they knew what was going to come ahead, and they'd already put things in place.
Yeah,
and you're telling me now Disney's planning 100 years in advance.
Yeah, like that's what it's crazy. But I've said it to you before, where like like everyone always wants to take down McDonald's. Like they got bad food, everyone's unhealthy that eats there, etc. If they're like the powerhouse and they're the controllers, wouldn't it be good to be able to get inside of McDonald's and make them change like their style, make them change their menu? So then, because people are always going to go to McDonald's, but if you can switch the food and the style of cooking and everything like that, people are still going to go to McDonald's, and then they're going to be eating that better food without even thinking about it. They're going to be like, oh, it's McDonald's, and there's no thought to it because it's just they're the powerhouse.
I kind of think they've tried and they want to, but they're always going to look at the cost-effective ways until...
But it's not expensive to use proper food.
On the level that they buy products? No, it wouldn't be.
The mass, that's the thing.
But then you've got to ask the question then, why? Why don't they?
The demand for meat is impossible to have naturally, I think.
Well, yeah.
Like you have to do something to the system to get that amount of meat.
Yeah, well, why not? Yeah. But the amount they buy, say salads and stuff like that, surely they could start implementing some sort of, maybe even buying their own land and farming their own land. And I don't know. I mean, obviously it comes down to cost.
They don't own land with farms on it?
I'm sure they would. But I don't know. They say they farm their own beef, don't they?
That's what they say. The Australian beef, yeah. The Angus beef.
I'm not sure, but it always comes down to the dollar.
We should get someone from McDonald's on here.
That'd be awesome, actually. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we should get back into it. All right, let's jump back in. This is the fifth and final pillar, and then we'll have another chat.
The fifth pillar and the last one to be a good Muslim is to do the pilgrim or the Hajj once in your life. If you're pregnant, if you're physically capable or capable money-wise. But if you're not capable in both things, you cannot do it, so you have the license. But at least you have to do it once in your life, the Hajj or the pilgrim. Again, it has been said that when you go to Hajj, you come back and as if you are newly born, totally washed from all your sins. And that's why lots of people in the profession of acting or ballet dancers, they go Hajj and they come back and they covered their face and the hair, or the hair at least, and they covered with long galabeas and long dresses. They said, we are newly born, we are totally washed from our sins, and we are starting a new life, and that's it. These are the 5 pillars of Islam. If you talk about the veil mentioned in the book, but not within the 5 pillars. So this is definitely all what we know, or all what everyone knows about the 5 pillars, or all the good, to be a good Muslim. I know that there is nuns in the churches that are devoted totally to God. But again, the veiled woman, devoted, but the difference between a nun and a veiled woman, the woman, she could marry, the veiled one, but the nun couldn't marry. And she's devoted only to be work in the church, only to with God.
So the veil, hey? Is she saying the veil or the burqa?
The veil. So the covering of the face, it's not actually in the Quran, it's not part of the 5 pillars. So people are making a choice when they wear it.
Is the burqa in the Quran?
It's all the same thing, it's just the covering of the face.
The hair.
It's the covering of the whole body. That's not actually part of the
religion
to become like a good Muslim.
So
to be a good Muslim.
It's not part of it, it doesn't have to happen.
No.
So why does it happen?
It's mentioned in the Quran, but it's not actually one of the 5 pillars. But people are making a choice to wear them.
It's like an old school tradition, or
I think so. It's come up through those kind of generations. But like I read like a couple of pamphlets on it because they give you pamphlets when you go to this mosque, and it's talking about that the woman that writing this pamphlet actually was saying, like, I'm happy to do this. This is how I want to be doing it. It's nothing to do with my husband.
A lot of them are. A lot of them are happy to wear it. Yeah. So
whatever. Each to their own. It is what it is.
Well, what do you think then in France? I think France and Germany have banned the burqa.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to wear it. Well, here's the thing then. If you go into a bank and you're wearing a burqa and you rob the bank, they can't identify you.
Hasn't that happened?
I don't know. Maybe it has.
Don't they ask to remove it when they enter those kind of places?
I don't know. I just thought about it then because you go to the teller and when you go to walk in, there's no helmets, there's no hats.
But yeah, even at convenience stores, they can.
Well, if you do a robbery,
they can deny you from the shop. It's like you can't walk into a supermarket with your motorbike helmet on.
No,
you're not allowed.
Even hats these days. But I mean, everyone wears hats. But yeah.
So we'll go into this last bit of audio where I ask her a few different questions, and then we'll come back to wrap it up.
Any questions? Clear.
Yeah. With the pilgrimage or the Hajj.
Hajj.
What happens there and where is that?
This is usually the Hajj. It's the Dhul Hijjah. We have an Islamic calendar and a foreign calendar. As far as I learned from school, I was in a French school, so I have the foreign calendar, January, February, March, April. But the Islamic calendar, it has their own Islamic calendar, like مثلا Dhul Hijjah. Or like when we discovered this is Ramadan, we have to fast today. They look at the moon and they said it's the ru'ya. The ru'ya, it's like the vision that they see in a way from Mecca, and they announce today all Muslims, they have to fast. The Hajj is the same. Like there is a month for the Hajj in the Islamic calendar that everyone should go Hajj. Hajj is different from Umrah. Umrah is you go to Mecca anytime you want. And you go around Mecca 7 times. But Hajj, specific time this year is the 22nd of September. It's going to be minimum 3-4 days and up to 9 days. Depends on. The Hajj, you go and visit the mountain where you have to throw small rocks to the devil at that time. And you go to Mecca going around. It's a ritual that you have to do, like going to a mountain, dresses white, and praying and saying things like loudly in Islamic way, and then you go to Mecca and go around Kaaba 7 times and praying. Some people, they do the Hajj in 3 days only.
Okay, and you have to go around 7 times.
Exactly.
And why 7?
Why 7? The 7 times Mecca or the Kaaba is the place that it has been set under divine, or al-Arsh in Arabic. So this is the place where Prophet Ibrahim at that time took his son Ismail and goes around him at that time, and there is a very huge amount of underwater. We give it the name of Zamzam. This water, it never ends. It's a gift from God at that place. He was trying to feed him or to let him drink something, and then at that time God gave him that kind of Zamzam place. Until now, the Mecca or the Saudis, they have this kind of water. When you drink it, it's a kind of sugarly. It's something from God, gift from God. And the Saudis, they have that kind of water till now, and they make lots of jars and pumps, long ones, under the ground, and people, they use it even to purify before praying.
Okay.
So this is actually how people, they go to Hajj. Sometimes they go to Hajj with boat, they go with a car, sometimes they go flying. Depends on the capacity or the people, how much they could pay. All the stuff mentioned in the book is different from the 5 pillars. But anything to be said in Islam, it has to be said peacefully, but not in a way that people to impose things on each other. Because I'm sure, or I assume that all religions, they have the same. You don't drink, you don't do this and this and this, but each one has his own opinion.
Mm-hmm. You said time zones have to be the same when you are performing your prayer? You said
The times?
watch the time zone. So if it is,
For example,
3 o'clock in the particular country, or must it be 3 o'clock in this
Okay,
time
if
zone?
the sun set, for example, or the sunrise here and in London is different, or in Australia, you follow the time zone.
So you just go with their time
Exactly,
zone. Okay.
exactly. And I'm sure that in other countries they have like kind of mosques that they give a kind of an announcement about that kind of prayers times, where they give like a flyers about that. So sometimes some people I know, they are in London, they fast and they eat iftar at 9:30 p.m. and they fast since 3:30.
Yeah.
And in here مثلا at 7. So sometimes people they keep go مثلا fasting till 10:30 p.m. So it depends on every and each country time zone.
And you have to face a certain direction when you're performing these prayers?
We have to follow the direction of Kaaba, Mecca, which is the east-west. Mecca is this side.
Yeah.
This is the direction of the Qibla. And that's how all Muslims should direct to this Qibla one. That's why all the mosque is in here.
The origin.
Exactly.
In
So-
650 AD.
Exactly. So Prophet Muhammad, when he starts the da'wah, there was the development of the Allah. You see the echo of the voice? So this is the echo of the marble or the alabaster here. So that's how when Imam came and say Allahu Akbar very, very loud, it spreads everywhere. So, any questions? Is it clear?
It's clear. I had one more.
If you have any questions in mind and you need to ask later even, just feel free to ask me. But I give you now like 5-10 minutes to go and take pictures.
I have one question quickly.
Yes,
Who wrote the Quran?
it's from God. Wrote it Prophet Muhammad.
He wrote the entire thing.
And he was illiterate. How he wrote it? He used to go in a small cave by himself. And Sayyidina Jibreel is the name of the voice that we say, Prophet Jibreel. He heard a voice and he was so scared and shocked, telling him read and write. So it was like a kind of a secret that he goes every day to this cave on his own and write the Quran. And this is the miracle of Prophet Muhammad. There is lots of other prophets with miracles again, but the miracles of Prophet Muhammad is something that the book, it never changed as time as we go. We never take a paper from the book and say, oh no, this is not that, this is right. No, it should be like this all lifetime.
How do you feel about other religions?
Good question. Or other religions, they have the same base, the spiritual base. They have the belief in God. They have, there is no sins in other religions. Some people, they don't drink because of the religion, the Jewish and the Christians. We have Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox. So there are different beliefs. They said the Protestant are the people protesting against Catholic, the church, because at that time the church said there was very prejudiced about certain things in life, as far as I understand. What I am saying, that not the religion that changed and the religions are bad. The bad thing happened that the societies are changing. So what happened now is a big gap between the societies and the religions. How? For example, now outside that in New Zealand, as far as my cousin was telling me, that people are living together and they are in love together and they live in one house. Long years before, they used to know each other and then they got married with the church, with the givings and rules and stuff like that. But now the society accepts other things, accept that people living together with no commitments and they could have kids. And the society accepts that after 4 or 5 years, the woman, if she lives with the man for 4 or 5 years, she has the 50% of his all income by law. That's what I heard in New Zealand. No need to go to a church and got married. But religions, after all, protect the needs and the givings of human beings. So what happened now in Islam, that people are, you see the echo?
Is it time? No. It's 2
No,
o'clock.
he's just showing them the echo of the voice. So what happens now in Islam, that people, they're trying to take the rules of the Islam and impose it in a vicious way. They don't understand that the generation are changing. The whole world are changing. For example, as human beings, physiologically, if you have someone and you like someone and you want to get to know someone, okay, you have the freedom to live with her or to know her. But again, you have the freedom to feel that, oh, she's committed to me. I want to take her to the church and we have a formal paper and she will be my woman, for example. Some people now, they said, no, there is no need for that. And it caused problems between people, between the deals with people in the societies all over the world. So it's the changing of the societies, the concepts in general.
Yeah.
People, they became extreme, even very open, and they don't care about anyone, or became very extremist, or oh, the book, and the religion. So I think it's that anyone should do what human nature tells us, by nature. And it mean like, I'm a liar. It's by human nature, this person is a liar. I mean, he should change himself. It's not the book.
Yeah.
But if you go back to all religions, they said lying is something forbidden. It's not permitted. To be honest, to be spiritual, to deal with people with good things. Hindus, Sikh, all religions, they talk about the good spirit and good givings. So I see it's a good base of no religion on earth God came with, it was bad. No. Could be stories about the people related to this religion that they made things and you have to be careful with these people, for example. But the religion was made to settle things between human people, human beings in general. So it is us that we formulate the system. Like for me, Masan, I'm Muslim, I'm not covered. But I respect how to cover, and when I go to the beach and when I go out and when I deal with people and when I give service and whatever. So it's a matter of a package of many things. Part of it is our religion, which we believe in. So don't tell me Islam is better than Christianity, is this and this and this. What is mentioned that Islam is the last book, it's a miracle. People, they should all die Muslims. This is what is understandable to me. But do anyone understand if I am Jewish, I'm born in a Jewish society, or Christian, and I've never went out, I don't have the money to go out, and I've been raised in a church, and God will punish me and put me to hell? I didn't die. I mean, like, it's God's will. It's up to God, not me. So I'm not the one here to judge anyone.
So
This is how I see things.
what do you think will happen to people that don't follow the 5 pillars?
Maybe one day God will help them to lighten them.
Give them one more chance?
God gives chances all the time until we die. Until we die. And one of the very good things that maybe, for example, you go to a church and confess to a pope or a priest in a small window and tell them, oh, I did this and this and this, and he keep listening to you. One of the good things about Islam that you can go down on the ground and say God is the highest, and then you go up after you finish praying and you raise only the hands and say, God, please forgive me about this and this. It's a direct connection between you and God. There is no need to go anywhere. So Islam, when you understand it, it's a very simple rituals. It's totally between a person and God. And if you talk to someone, you have to talk it simple and peaceful. All these vicious or aggression, it's not Islam. It's terrorists. That's it. Regardless the nationality, regardless the language, regardless of anything.
Extremists.
Extremist.
And when was your Hajj?
22nd of September, exactly.
Last year.
This coming year. The last year it was exactly 5 or a week before.
So you have done it. You've done the seven.
I did it when I was
laps.
11. When I was 11 years. And that's it. I didn't do it again.
You only have to do it once, though.
Once. If I have the money and if I have the ability to do it again, I will never hesitate to do it. But at least I did it once, and hopefully I went lots of Umrahs. I went lots of times to Mecca to do the rituals around the Kaaba, which I love it. It's very spiritual there. And I'm so far satisfied. I mean, like, not extremist, but moderate in all ways.
Yeah.
So we have to see things like that. If you tell, oh, you have to go and pray, excuse me, I'm gonna stop working and go to pray for an hour, for half hour. There is no need. You can pray for 5 minutes, for 2 minutes. I mean, like, it's from 2 minutes until half hour. If you want to read the whole part of the book, you can sit at home, you have no work. I do that مثلا before Fajr or before the sunrise. I do like for half hour, I read a whole part of the Quran by myself. My daughters in the other room, if you want, they pray. And then I have my glass of water and like coffee, and then I sleep before. But I am not in conflict with my anything else. So this is very important. Not to be proud of the image. I'm the one praying. No, it's to be proud with you, connection directly with God. That's it. And even in Christianity, the same. So it's the idea how you announce yourself to people. This is very important.
Yeah, if you have genuine and pure heart, you'll be given a chance.
It's exactly. We always say it has been mentioned that God will judge us at the day of judgment with our wills, good will or bad will, not with how we look.
Or what book you read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's the books, and I cannot believe that people are very, very devoted to church or to Jewish in synagogue or whatever, and they will be brutally punished from God. Who knows? Who knows anything?
Shoved down to hell to burn for
Who
eternity.
knows? Who
Yeah.
knows anything? You can never know anything. We didn't die to know. Like they said, مثلا, there is a judgment in the cemetery down in the tombs. When we die, we will know where we're gonna sit, hell or heaven, or like paradise, whatever, where we go. I don't know. I cannot. I mean, okay, I heard this. It could happen, but I don't know. I didn't die,
Yeah.
and I came back to tell you what happened. So it's like, okay, you believe what your mind reach, but there are some things in Islam, as far as I understand, that you have to accept it as facts. Fact. You don't go through it.
Don't think about it, just accept.
Like what? Like I believe in God. There is God. One God. How he looks, I have no idea. How all this happened, I have no. How the volcano and tsunami happened, it's God's will. People they trying to make a human being with a brain and hands. We couldn't. Who made that God? How? From the brain he gave us brain. I mean, each one responsible about certain things. Like people made the airplanes, people make the computers, maybe people make the mobiles. It's the brain that God gave us to us. The brain that create things. It's the God's will. So there are things that you have to accept as facts. And there are things, if you go through it, you will go mad or extremist or atheist. Did you got me?
Yeah.
So the more reasonable, the more you're okay. And this is what I keep telling my daughters. Sometimes, oh, mommy, we want this, and they have lots of demands. I wish. I don't. Okay, you do your best, and what's meant to be is gonna be meant to be. You're not chosen to be born in Australian. You could be born in Egypt here, or in the Saudis, and having a galabiyas and stuff like that. It's God's will. Why? We don't know. One of the things which always strike me and put me in shock, when I go in walking with my car, I have a good car so far, and I drive a good decent life, a good health, thank God. But sometimes I drive and I found someone I have on my way to the club, I found someone always on the bridge with half body standing. Like his lower half is disappeared. And he's always like this, begging. And I go and come and go and I see this person. I keep saying, and he's living, it's God's will. But why all these people around us? To thank God about what you have and gifted, with your health, with the eyes, with the hands, with the spirit, with everything. God has a logic that all these people, blind, sick, whatever, in the streets you see in front of you, handicapped, to thank God of what we have. And God, for sure, in our book said, He never give Himself or give anyone something above his capacity or against his capacity. I mean, God gave me the power to fast, give me the power to play a certain sports, give you the power to do this. This is your capacity. So God knows every and each one's capacity. So he will never load you with more capacity that you cannot do. Even surgeons, some surgeons people, for example, doctors, they do surgery and say, how come can you open this and see all this blood? That's his capacity. God gave him this to do this. So things are accept and believe in it in a nice, moderate way. Otherwise, you'll go, as I told you, either crazy, extremist, or atheist.
Cool. So what do you think of that, Grant?
It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, everything's God's will, isn't it? Like I said, there's always an out. You know what I mean?
That's exactly what she said, though. Like, if we were born in Egypt, would be the same. Would be Muslims and would be following that same religion code, you know. But we're born in Australia, and it's like we have that different outlook, maybe.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. Maybe if they were born in Australia, they wouldn't be Muslims. You know, you don't know.
100%.
Like, it's all. It is what it is.
It is what it is. I think we just got to be more. I suppose we have to be all more understanding and accepting of just different ways and different cultures and.
I think this kind of
thoughts process. 100%. It opens
this
it
kind
up.
of stuff opens like your mind to it all, and you realize it's not that bad. How like the media sometimes portrays it, or even other religions, or even how just people like your friends see Muslims. It's not as extreme, It's not as crazy. I think.
Yeah, totally agree. Look, the way she speaks about it, you can see the passion, or you can hear the passion in her voice. So, but. Like I said, there's always extremes there, all religions.
It's extremist in everything.
Like you said, atheists, I suppose, yeah. That's interesting. It's interesting. I like how she spoke to her daughters, though. They got a long wish list.
Yeah.
I wish this, I wish that. It'd be interesting to see like a younger Egyptian girl and how they go through life, or Egyptian boy even go through life with religion. You know what I mean? Because she seems, how old would she be? About
she's
50?
in her 30s, I think.
Oh, she's in her 30s,
Maybe. Yeah, I'm just going to say 30s because even if she's older, it doesn't matter because she's not going to be like annoyed at me for saying this.
Sorry, I imagined that she was in her 50s.
No, she's not that.
Okay.
She's not at that age. I was going to say she's not that old, but then all the 50-year-olds are going to get offended. So
who cares?
It's the Real Talk podcast.
Yeah.
Can't be offending everyone.
You've got to start somewhere.
Cool. So I think that was a good little different episode.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sitting back and I'm... Well, like you said, it opens your eyes. It makes you think. You know what I mean? I've never heard someone from Egypt speak so openly about their religion and so passionately.
That's why I went to the front line, Grant.
In a good way. That's why we sent you there.
That's why
we pay you the big bucks.
That's why I landed in on a chopper.
That's it. Did you take a chopper?
Wouldn't that be cool?
That's where I couldn't find it.
We're sending you to Egypt to learn more about the Quran.
Off you go now. Get on the jet.
Get to the chopper.
Get down. Oh, idiots.
Anyway.
Cool.
So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We'll be back next week with a brand new